Hi, I'm Cash, and I'm going to use my 20 plus years of coaching experience and explain to you how to beat the Pep Guardiola system at Manchester City. Not the new one with John Stones coming up in the midfield, but the one they've been playing for the last couple of years. I'm going to show you how to attack strengths and weaknesses of teams, well, and identify them as well, so you actually can know, do you really want to attack a team's strength or turn its weakness around with a bit of jiu-jitsu, and so you can kick the ball in the net box based on what they're trying to do to you. So let's jump in, look at the strengths of the Manchester City system, identify those, and let's start from there. Let's go. I'm not going to go too much with the team play video clips because my boomerness technology won't do it justice. But this here is stopped image. You can see one of the big strengths with Man City. They keep players wide. And this is Sane back in the day. And you can see what happens, because why they want two players wide is to create these gaps in the half space. This is one of the big strengths that they're looking to exploits they're looking to do. Create that space there and then put runners in from wherever those runners are coming from. This is kind of a counter-attacking goal, so it's not exactly what you want to see, but it's also a Jose Mourinho setup side, and it's very, very close to being almost perfect. But there's a couple of little missing key components which you're going to see when we start breaking it down properly. Now, as we move this forward, you'll see one of the strengths I'm talking about. One's going out wide here, and the other one is opening up that half space and exploiting it. There's two. Bosch goes into the half space. See that half space there? He's run from the mid into the half space, exploited that half space there perfectly from the simple pass. All of a sudden, this guy's out wide, this guy's out wide. They haven't moved. He's run back in, pulled everybody back in again, but we know where that half space is. Ball goes back out. Dosh is in that half space again, right in between the centre back and the right or left back. There you go. Classic example. The pass in was in the half space. That pass in was in the half space, completely cut out by, the defenders couldn't cut anything out. And there we go. We get a nice simple tap in. Massive strength for Man City as exploiting that half spaces. Let's see what other strengths they've got before we start going about how we break these down. I had a little look online to try to find a better way of doing it. I just ended up doing it myself, so I can use this for other things later to help explain it a little bit better for you. So here's the other main strength of Man City. Here's where the ball is, and they like to create these little triangles to isolate. Remember, we talked about the half spaces, and that's the two pockets that we're looking to exploit here. But if you look at how they keep the ball, what they want to do is create all these little triangles. It's very much of the same similar style of the Brazilian box system that Brazil have been running since the 1970s. And that's interesting because that's kind of what they're doing with John Stones in the midfield now. They're doing a modified version of the Brazilian box. But what the whole purpose of that to do is to create triangles everywhere and all this. You can see the midfield looks a little bit of a mess, but all of a sudden, when the ball starts to rotate or something starts to change and the ball comes to here, Rodri will be in here receiving the ball, and what they'll try to do then is try to create this other triangle on the other side all the time. Now, the other point that they'll try to do is if the midfielder can't get too far forward, what he'll do, he'll leave that to the striker to come in, and he'll come in over there, and then they'll still be able to keep their little triangles going with the ball and still have the out ball back here, back to Rodri, and back to their defensive third. So I'm going to do this a little bit easier. I'm going to do it on their side of the field so you can see a little bit without the other people involved, just to have a quick glimpse at it, because this is what we're going to attack. We're going to attack their strength of keeping the ball, trying to exploit that half space and trying to rotate the ball back on the other side of the field when they're under pressure. Now, this is coaching 101. The coaches in the Premier League should know this, but then you can actually understand their lack of knowledge and understanding of how football is, because all they've done is a coaching license and played for a team, so that's all pretty much they know. They don't know how to do things like this, so let's show you a little bit better on another slide. So let's go ahead and first look at this situation without anybody else on the team, opponents on the field, and you can see it's a Christmas tree formation. Oh yeah, someone used to do this once upon a time in the World Cup, trying to win it for England, and the people couldn't understand it because they're low IQ in football management. So the reason you've got 4 defenders, you've got 3 midfielders, but you're actually playing what's called an inverted diamond, which people don't quite understand. Let's have a little look at the inverted diamond process. So normally you'd have your striker, off he goes. You got these 2 here. These are going to be our back passing interceptors, these 3 here. Normally you have a defensive midfielder, and you'd have this guy up here and this guy up here. Well, you're not having a diamond this way now, you're having it inverted. So these 2 players are coming back, and they're coming in and covering the half space. Okay, these are your attacking players. You don't, well, if you get forward, great. But what you're really trying to do is negate them getting into your half space, and that's what you're doing there. Of course, you've got your centre midfielder here bobbling around, and you've got these guys tucked in here when you're defending, and this is where they want to be. That's exactly how they want to be. So when the ball comes back across, as we know, let's get everything else on the field right now so we can actually show it properly to you. Okay, so now we can see exactly what we're trying to do with the other team on the field in front of us. So anything that goes into this half space, this player's role and responsibility is basically to sit here and cover in between the left back or right back on this side and the centre back. Okay, our 3 players here, these are the ones that we're looking. When the ball gets played back along this, bump, that's when we're looking to go. Now, there's 1 or 2 ways you can do this. I'll explain to you those. My favourite way of doing it is having my player with pace. You've always got one on your team. Ivan Toney, Rashford, you pick one, right? And we stick him up there waiting to go. And I push these 2 players on a little bit more, and I coach them a little bit better. So what ends up happening is they do this backwards and forwards. One goes up, one goes back. So when the ball's on this side, they're like that. When the ball's on the other side, he drops in and he does that. And all these guys are looking to do is nick that ball, play it here, and go in behind on the counter-attack as fast as possible. Now, there are other ways of doing it and stopping it with this formation. This is just my most fun way, because then what happens is everyone starts panicking. As soon as that guy's here, he starts dropping off over here, and immediately I get him to run over here and stand on this side of the field. And then he doesn't know what to do because his manager's yelling at him, and now does he come back? And then you're just playing, having fun with the manager, trying to get everyone to do something that you want them to do and not what they want to do. But that's basically how you do it. You shut down the half spaces, you stop the weaknesses there. Then when they play the ball back, every time, remember, when the ball is coming back towards their goal, all it needs is a touch off course and you're off. It's going towards their goal in the first place. So it's very, very easy to intercept these passes that come back, but you have to set yourself up correctly. And the key is to make these players here look like they're disinterested, that they're not going to go and win the ball, except for, let's say the ball goes back 5 times and there's only once that they can actually intercept it. That's the time they go. They don't try to press every single time, because you do not want the bait, Rodri in this case, the bait, to understand that they're the bait. You hook them in. You get them on the hook, then you eat them. You don't just sit there and try to get every little scrap and morsel. No, no, no. You're not a pig. You wait. You wait for that little scrap. You get it. You play it to your player, and off they go in behind. Well, I want to try to break down more teams and structures. Hopefully, I'll find some better software so my boomer ass can do something a little bit better. But let me know what you think, guys. Like and subscribe to The Cash.